WhiskyJason here, whiskey from the viewpoint of an American over here in Germany tasting rare and exotic whiskeys. Today I have something from Australia, Starward Octave Barrels. So, whiskey base number 195264. Now this is something that was filled, is what they call it, not distilled, in 2018. And it was bottled on the 23rd of September 2021. 48%, and over here it goes for 89 euros 90. I am going to compare it to something. Give me 1 second. We have an artificial cork, which I think is absolutely okay today. No problems at all with that. So, 30 euros per year. A lot of money, people. Now, I'm going to compare it to this Starward. Look at the different box here. This is the old box. This is basically the new box. And what I have here is a single barrel for Germany, for a online store called Wick, W-H-I-C-K. And I originally thought that this was expensive with 85 euros, but this is a much older bottle. Much older. It's always relative, isn't it? So this is from 2016. It was bottled in 2021. It's still only 4 years of age, so it's about 20 some euros per year. And this was from an American oak red wine barrel. Only 240 bottles in total, but it was 55.7%. So now going back to this, the label. The label says here, single malt Australian whiskey, yay, matured in Yalumba, the Octavius, or exactly, Octavius, Barossa Shiraz 100-liter octave barrels. So filled 2018, bottled 2021, 700 milliliters. Now, Starward's really doing a lot for the German market at the moment. They're bringing bottling after bottling after bottling. It's almost like every month or every 2 months there's a new something happening here. They actually now have a position that they're trying to fill or have already recently filled. I'm not aware. I just saw the job ad for it, for a full-time market brand ambassador position. I mean, if I were not doing my own thing with American whiskeys and so on, it was like, I might be interested in that. Having them pay for me to go to Australia to visit them down under, and with my nice American accent and German a little bit there, and presenting that and doing that and helping that. I think that'd be something I could do. But hey, I got enough on my hands doing my own stuff here with my own brands, so that's okay. But this is actually a very, very, very nice entry. It's not entering the market anymore. That's a very, very nice focus on the German market. That's what I was looking for. All right, so they do have a new box. I'm going to talk about packaging for the next 1 minute, so if you want to skip ahead, if you don't care, then don't worry. This is the old packaging. This was very, very, I'm going to just call it pedestrian. Black, very, very nice. Every time they just put a label on here, and it was somewhat flimsy, to be honest. All right, so not very thin cardboard, and once or twice I've actually picked up one of these by the lid, and then it just kind of opens up automatically, and that wasn't dangerous. All right, so but it is black, but if you do have, I don't know, let's say you have 5 different expressions in Starward, you have to take a look at each and every one individually in the back to see what it is. All right. So the second thing is now the new one. The new is much sturdier. I mean, I can't even break this. It has a little latch here so it doesn't pop open automatically. Very, very nice. You actually have an open, so you can actually read the label of each and every one. You don't have to look at the back and so on. That's very, very nicely done. The only thing I dislike is this little thing here. All right, so this little thing here, they put that in here so the bottle doesn't shake or move back and forth. Every single time I take my bottle out, it's flown out, or it doesn't fit, or it's done this instead of this. It just doesn't work the way I hoped it would or could have. So maybe someone needs to design a somewhat even better packaging. Is it better? Yes. Is it perfect? No. All right, so Now, I did the following. I Googled here Yalumba, which is a vineyard in Australia, and I went to their Octavius page. And so there is actually a shop, Yalumba, and you can buy maybe, for example, the 2016 Octavius. Beautiful black bottle, very, very nice here. And it's going to set you back around 150 Australian dollars for a bottle of wine. 150 Australian dollars. So I went, okay, let's take a look at what it is in America. 125 US dollars. Holy crap, for a bottle of wine. I mean, that's expensive. I've never bought a bottle of wine that expensive. Now, I have bought bottles of whiskey that expensive, but I don't need to drink them all within 1 week. A bottle of wine does not last. You can't just put it back on the shelf and come back a year later. Whiskey, you basically can. All right, so and what we have here is we have very, very unique things about this Octavius Shiraz wine. It's a distinct wine with richness and dark berry, fruit compote, palate, perfectly balanced, elegant, and refined. So they have an average vine age of 80 years. 67% of the Shiraz is sourced from the Barossa Valley, and 33%, 33% from the Eden Valley. Barossa Valley Shiraz provides richness, density, concentration, while Eden Valley Shiraz, I'm reading, provide the exotic aromatics and seamless palate structure. Now, the interesting thing is for me the treatment. So they take this and they mature it for 22 months. Now, 28% of this wine is matured in new French oak barriques and hogsheads. And then a balance, so basically what's left of that is 72%. So 72% divided by 2. The half and half is in older American octaves, in French barriques, as well as those French hogsheads that we mentioned before. So they have the new French hogsheads and barriques and the used. So, and that's what they balance that out with. And the distillery now, going back over to the Distillery Starward in Melbourne, they buy these American oak octaves. And they actually then put their whiskey into it, which is really, really cool. So the Octavius was named after the unique 100-liter octave barrels that were handcrafted on site in the Yalumba, cooperage, and made specially for this wine. And the term octave was coined, he says, by our early coopers. Don't think they coined it in Australia. I think it was coined probably in Scotland, but that's okay. Who knows? To describe a barrel an eighth the size of a standard barrel. So I have a problem with that as well. An octave, an eighth, that means time 8, that means 800 liters. I don't think a normal barrel is 800 liters. Oh well, I will never know now, will I? All right, so I do know that 500 liters were normal for butts and so on, port pipes, but I don't think that 800s were the normal size of a barrel, unless there are different size barrels down there in the wine industry. Well, I'm still learning, as you probably know if you've ever watched a few of my videos by now. There are different types of wine barrels still used. For example, in Germany today, we have a 900-liter barrel that is called the Franconia. We have a 960-liter, which is called the Moselle. We have a 1,000-liter, which is the Rhineland-Palatina. And we have a 1,500-liter barrel, which is used in Baden. In various sources, the values are mentioned here are different. Okay, it could also be the so-called fudder. Oh, wow. These are such an interesting different things here. So, well, I can't really find anything talking about an 800-liter barrel here, but that's enough. Let's try these. All right, good. Now, on the nose, the thing that really surprises me is I don't get red wine, first of all. I go over here, I get bombarded by red fruit wine. Wow. Here I get honey. Here I get honey with a little bit of a light, malty fruit character. The alcohol is bright and sharp and a little bit of more than I really want. And what I think is really, really cool is I go to starward.com.au and they actually have this whiskey described here on their website. It says, we aged Starward's very first batch almost exclusively in Yalumba red wine barrels, and they've been a trusted partner ever since. Yalumba is the only winery in the southern hemisphere to handcraft barrels in their own on-site cooperage. Did not know that. I would have thought someone down in Argentina would have done that as well. From oak selection to char, the Yalumba coopers have perfected the aroma, character, and complexity each barrel brings to their wines. And with Octave Barrels, we've gained this insight too, and it created a whiskey even more delicious than we could have even predicted. On the nose, it should be rich, full-bodied expression, red fruit, raisins, ripe peach, caramel, and toasted oak. Get the oak, get the caramel, might even get the peach here, a little bit like iced tea peach. A little bit of the raisins, the red fruit here. Now let's try this on the mouth, on the palate. The interesting thing is the first word they use, and I must commend Starward for saying this, vicious. So palate vicious and long, dark forest fruits and a toasted oak backbone. I've never ever seen anyone put vicious on their whiskey tasting notes. I tasted it because someone translated it in German into mellow. And I tasted it was mellow. I said, it's not mellow, it's brutal. And then I read the original in English. I said, bad translation. Oh, okay, yeah, vicious I can go with. All right, so cheers. This, by the way, sold out in Australia in a heartbeat. Very, very interesting. 150 Australian dollars, by the way. It's got some good, nice dark fruit. It's got that honey in there that I really kind of like. And it says here the finish should be something like toasted marshmallow. I think everyone wants to have a toasted marshmallow at the end of the moment. It's not bad. It's young. It's vicious / brutal. It's a little fiery on the palate. There is a certain sweetness, and there is a lot of fruity honeyness going on here. Fruity is wrong. Berried honeyness. Imagine you had your not yet ripe cranberries and your it says here dark forest fruits, and that with a little coated in a little bit of honey, dark honey. That's what I'm getting. Not bad. Not great. For me, it's a C minus C. Depends on what you're going at. If I tried this blind, I would have given this a C minus. If I understand that it's from Starward in Australia and they want to be bold and they want to be in your face and they want to be vicious, then they exactly did what they wanted to with this. On the other hand, I must admit, 90 euros is a lot of money for a 3-year-old whiskey that I'm not really, really fond of. This, on the other hand, has a little bit more of that, no, it doesn't have a little bit more, has a lot more of that red wine cask finish. On the nose, 55.7%. Dark, fruit, cherry, raspberry, blackberry, black cherry. All those dark things with a nice little oaky spice in there together. I remember buying this bottle and was like, I'm an idiot. I'm paying 85 euros for a 4-year-old whiskey. Why? And then I go over here and go, Jason, you're even more of an idiot. You're paying 90 euros for a 3-year-old whiskey with even less ABV. Why? And yeah, fear of missing out. I wanted to try this and I was very curious about it. And now I have it. And this makes this seem like a bargain. This has much more flavor. This has much more complexity, much more depth, much more of the ABV, much more of the flavor profile. This is a fantastic whiskey compared to this, and yet this costs more. And so I'm going to give this a D, solid D, maybe even tending towards a D minus for value for money. I would not ever be willing to go out and buy another one of these and say, hey, I have a 90-euro whiskey here, bam, 3-year-old, and it has honey and fruit, and it's vicious and brutal. I would much rather pay the 85 euros. Unfortunately, the 240 bottles have long sold out. This was from June, July 2021. And also the bottle changed a little bit. I'm not sure if this is because it's the Starward Whiskey project, but there are no more of these. Look at all these nice little, the stars and the galaxies and all that going on there. I think that was just too expensive to keep on doing that with the bottle, and it was just cheaper. And so now we have a more of a simple bottle, which I personally can live with 100%. So this is getting the C to C minus and the D for the value for money. This seems like a bargain now today. Good. Thank you very much for watching. First question, what is your favorite octave finish? So octaves could, for example, come from Duncan Taylor. They're doing that a lot. Or they could be from someplace else. So Duncan Taylor has some very, very interesting stave finishings here. So that's that. Or what is your favorite Australian whiskey? So those two questions, Australian whiskey or your favorite octave finished or octave matured whiskey. Thank you very much for watching. Thank you very much for subscribing. Thank you very much for sharing with others. We now learned something here about then the Yalumba winery and the Octavius Shiraz wine produced there. See you soon. Whiskey Jason. Bye-bye.